Well, I, for one, am simply shocked. Shocked, I say, that the creators of She Hulk would admit it publicly, finally, would admit the real reason, the real energy for why they did so many of the things on their show. And I guess respect, I guess. I mean, I guess you stuck it. Easily the worst rated MCU show in history probably will always be the worst rated MCU show. I guess. Um, the idea that you would allow fans of the show to, in their words, quote, creators of the She-Hulk admitted the show was mostly aimed at trolls, taking a shot at all the male MCU fans who identified as longtime readers of the Marvel comics. No wonder it's the worst rated Marvel show. The Star also says not to expect season 2. I, for one, am shocked. Shocked, I say. Now, to me, there's no doubt in my mind that there'll be a season 2, because even if people didn't really watch the show, what it did have is buzz, which is relevant. Social media chatter, videos getting made about it. She-Hulk creators admit the MCU show was just trolling the fans. With its fourth wall breaching and self-referential Marvel humor, She-Hulk was always going to be a meta show. But it took a mean-spirited turn that the creators now admit was trolling longtime fans in anticipation that they would hate the show. As writer Jessica Gao explained in a recent interview with Variety, quote, "We were able to predict what the reaction was going to be, what a lot of trolling comments were going to be. Really shows how very tired and unoriginal these trolls are." You're calling people unoriginal? We'll get to that in a second. That really tickled me because the little troll that lives inside me really loves trolling the trolls. So let me get this straight, my friends. Let me just get this straight, okay? You're saying that you get this show, right? Hey, congratulations, toss away person who worked on Rick and Morty a million years ago or whatever. You get She-Hulk. Now, we want you to write a good show. And instead, you go back to the writer's room and you're like, hey, what if we write the show about people who hate the show? Did they think that it was going to be like this Seinfeld-esque thing that people worshipped like years later, that people like felt like they could identify with and say, oh, wow, that was so meta. That was so cool. And so instead of working on creating a good show, you were more concerned with trolling people. I mean, I guess. Talk about your self-fulfilling prophecy, though, isn't it? You're like, oh, men will just hate this show, so let's just antagonize them the entire time instead of writing a good show. Thus, fulfilling our prophecy, our expectations the show would suck. And then, even more hilariously, you get to obfuscate yourself. You get to remove yourself from any kind of responsibility for the show stinking. Right? You can say, oh, I was just a troll, bro. The creator says She-Hulk was aimed at toxic fanboys who love Marvel comics and the movies. The creators first showed their hand in episode 3 with the whole montage focused on a bunch of guys saying that it's too derivative of an emasculated Hulk or debating whether or not she was bangable. The show also had explicitly pro-feminist messaging since the first episode, as Jen navigates the double standards for female superheroes, but she tried to compare her suffering with the male gaze with Bruce Banner suffering the loss of everything, so she deserved to be angrier than him. Didn't she bang like 3 different dudes in over 6 episodes? I mean, go get your work, She-Hulk. Lead actress Titania Maslany was on board with trolling the fans, saying it was fine with her to really give them something to complain about with the series. I sort of anticipated it. it's why I also feel it's important. There's such an entitlement to space held by certain people. And to even exist as She-Hulk is like a FU, and I love it. Strong female empowerment or just second-rate Hulk with a side of raging woman hormones? You see this tweet. They admit it. She-Hulk was about trolling you. What an absolute joke of a show. Clown creators. Well, I mean, I guess, like, good for you. You like to troll people. As a cast, it was delightful sending each of these troll responses like, oh my God, give them a week. And then they're really going to see this pop up verbatim in the show and becomes the villain of the show. It was very exciting. They also talked about how happy it made them to see real life trolls criticize She-Hulk in the same way that online trolls criticize their show. What an absolutely spectacular child attitude. Like, you understand, right, why they did this? It's because they knew that if they proposed it this way, if they executed the show this way, they don't have to deliver a good show, do they? They just have to say they got their message out. Now, everyone around the show says there will not be a season 2. It'll be interesting to see. I do think it would be disingenuous to not point out many of the MCU shows do not have a season 2 or will not have a season 2. I don't think they want to run, a lot of these shows forever. They just want to use them to, people consuming, and then they want to, funnel people into the movies. She-Hulk team explains the fourth wall breaking finale and delivering an FU. I don't even understand. Titania Maslany isn't counting on She-Hulk getting a second season. Quote, it doesn't seem likely. With the first season certainly went out with the bang, don't bet the farm on She-Hulk Attorney at Law getting renewed for a second season. While some fans of the series may be wondering if there's more to come after the wild finale, that's gotten a lot of people talking, lead star Titania Maslany isn't quite so sure a renewal will be happening. As told to Extra after episode premiered, Maslany feels like the Kevin Feige-inspired robot in She-Hulk finale suggests that there is no future for the series. I mean, I don't think so yet. Kevin in the scene seems to be very dismissive of the idea, so if we're basing it off the real Kevin, it doesn't seem likely. But he was also, I think they're just trying to get rid of Jen because she was asking too many questions. I don't know if I could be coy, if I had some little secret. I mean, let's put it this way. She-Hulk was a very expensive show, and it was also a show that was even routinely mocked for bad CGI, even with the money that they spent on it. It has not been without its criticism, and there's been some heat directed at the series for people on social media. So, like, isn't it interesting that when you look at it this way, okay, you have a show that you don't even want to try to make good. You get the show and you're like, let's waste our opportunity to make She-Hulk awesome and just use her to troll men because men bad. That's what they did. So essentially, they screwed themselves out of a season 2 because they just didn't have, I mean, if that's what you want to do with She-Hulk, well, you're not going to ingratiate yourself to the men in the audience, which is about 75% of the Marvel audience, I would assume. 70%. I'd say there are more females than you think, but it's still overwhelmingly male. I don't understand if their idea was that they would maybe it'll exist as a show on Disney Plus forever as a way to attack men they don't like. I don't know. Kevin or Jessica Gao, the lead writer, almost quit when he refused to let her give Kevin a real hat. Well, I would imagine that she wanted, so they impersonated Kevin with this robot at the end. And it seems like Kevin Feige wasn't a huge fan of it, but kind of like went along with it and allowed it. I don't think he likes like Marvel being self-aware in that manner. Like the fact that the show criticized the formulaic recipe of Marvel films kind of like, I don't think Kevin Feige really likes that. Now, especially in an era where we have, an uncertain future for Marvel movies. The next big Marvel movie coming out will be what, Wakanda Forever or whatever it is, Black Panther movie. I mean, Thor was nowhere near $1 billion. I'm going to suspect that Black Panther will do. I don't know, I guess. I don't know what to expect anymore with Marvel movies. It used to be like, oh, how close to $1 billion will it get? Maybe Black Panther will explode, but without Chadwick Boseman, without actually having Black Panther in the movie, you have like a subplot of lesser known characters again. I really think the $1 billion standalone Marvel film era is over, but I could be wrong. I never really want to underestimate the power of the consumer, but I think that this is more of Marvel's future television shows. I think people are fatigued with the initial, kind of with the formulaic 3-hour bonanza film. Like Ant-Man, what do you think that movie's going to do in the movie theater? You think that's doing 700 million? No chance. I don't know. We'll also see with Black Adam coming out this week, a DC superhero film. I don't think it's going to do very good. But again, I could be wrong there too. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm glad that they finally admitted that's really what was driving them. It was very obvious to anybody who was watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like on it. Make sure you hit the red subscribe button down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.